Oh, according to Joel Tilson, it looks like Trump was in Walter Reed. I'm a little worried about him. I feel bad. I feel sorry for him because his world is crashing down and it's happening so publicly, and it's quite frankly difficult to watch. And I know you've all counseled me because I am your favorite empath, sort of. So, your favorite empath that's named Whimsy, who lives in this apartment. We'll say that. Okay. So listen, folks. I have been accused in the past of having too much empathy for people who are cruel, mean, and awful. But I wouldn't be able to do my job if I didn't have such an ability. What do you all think about Donald Trump's behavior in the last couple days? Is it more desperate than it has been in the past? And if so, how? If it's changed, how has it changed? Because I can tell you, I see a change. When you think nobody is getting your signal, when you think nobody is listening, or when you think people have turned off, you raise your voice, right? You start to raise your voice and you do that because you're angry and threatened, right? So, is this why we're seeing more raging? Is this why we're seeing Trump's voice going up? Is it because he doesn't feel that anyone's listening to him? Put it down there so I don't have to move. Oh my goodness. I don't know, folks. I don't know. But I can tell you that I heard a voice inside my head that said Donald Trump will be finished in 5 months. And that was close to 5 months ago. I just can't even imagine what kind of mental state he's going to be in after Christmas, since he seems to be crashing. And I think somebody this sick, what would happen if he caught a virus? Adult respiratory syndrome takes out a lot of seniors. And this is, wouldn't it be ironic if it was his CDC that took him out by being irresponsible and cutting funding for the CDC? And then what happens to Donald Trump? What ends up taking him out? A health crisis, because God, I can't find my tissue. A health, wouldn't that be a great irony? Sitting on it. He didn't believe in COVID. He didn't believe in that stuff. And then it came around again and took him out. Right? And the next thing you know, he's in the hospital on a respirator because, like a lot of seniors pushing 80, he has no immune system left. Could that happen? 100%. Because of his age and because of the fact that he's being exposed to so many people. So my concern, just going back to the remotes and the fact that they're saying, no, you are watching the collapse now. The conversation that people are having is, are we set up to remove the president quickly in the event of an emergency? Yes, because Article 25 can happen immediately, and JD Vance can take control immediately, and then the president has to challenge it. And then the president has, say, 21 days to challenge it. And then it has to go before the House and the Senate with a 2/3 majority. The president is, and the Department of Justice are actively involved in a cover-up to cover up information about the worst serial pedophile in U.S. history and the fact that it appears to be linked to Donald Trump. Is that good for Donald Trump? Is this the beginning of the end? His health is crashing. He's actively involved in a cover-up over Epstein. The economy is trash. What is he hoping for? He's hoping that he can pull out, get to peace in Gaza. And the only way he can get to Gaza peace is if Hamas agrees to leave Gaza. So December 27th, right after Christmas, who's showing up in Mar-a-Lago? Bibi Netanyahu. Why is Bibi Netanyahu showing up? Because they got to pull this off. Because if he doesn't pull this off, peace in the Middle East, we're going to do that rebuild. If he doesn't do that, then it's just one loss after another. He needs a win. He needs a win. And so with Bibi showing up after Christmas, Bibi and Sarah are going to show up. It's going to be great. He won't have to fly to DC, right? We want to limit his flying. We certainly don't want a guy with congestive heart failure, and we believe has congestive heart failure. Artificial intelligence took a look at him and gave a rough estimate that he lied about his weight, and that his weight is closer to about 265 pounds based on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence also said he lied about his height. He's only 6'1". So he's 6'1", 265 pounds, and 79 years old. Based on his physical appearance, history, etc., artificial intelligence told us he probably has type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is associated with an increased risk for what? Alzheimer's and coronary artery disease. Whatever is bad for the brain is bad for the heart. So now we have artificial intelligence saying, analyze patient, analyze image. How, based on this image, how much does this guy weigh? 265, 6'1". So we're talking about an obese person who it would be beyond impossible. He would be a unicorn if he didn't have type 2 diabetes. You don't become obese after years of eating junk food, pushing 80, and not have blood sugar dysregulation. So what is that doing to your brain? Then we talk about congestive heart failure, and what can happen in congestive heart failure can be deep venous thrombosis, right? Because you have chronic venous insufficiency. You have chronic venous insufficiency because the heart is pumping too slowly, which causes a buildup of pressure, which causes damage to the valves in the venous system. And then you have fluid overload, so you have to have IV diuretics. This is what the computer came up with, not knowing that we were talking about Donald Trump. So if you're just looking at it as patient A, we called this person patient A, and we asked, I had to change it from Donald Trump and say, this is patient A. Tell me what you think of patient A. When will it become apparent to people close to this individual that he's mentally impaired or that he's seriously sick? Well, according to AI, they already know, but it should be very apparent within 1 to 3 months. Is it painful to watch? It's very painful to watch. What happened to Fred Trump? He started to push 80 and it became apparent that he had Alzheimer's, right? When did he die? At 89. So Alzheimer's is a slow disease. Dementia is a slow disease. When did they start to realize that Ronald Reagan had dementia? His final years, right? His final year and a half. How long did he live? A long time, right? 10, 15 years after that, he was still alive. He didn't know who he was. You guys know Susan Powder, the weight loss guru? She was in somewhere, I think LA or something, and her kid was playing baseball, and they were like trying to hit the ball. They were just playing some in some neighborhood in California, and a limo and some security guards came out, and the security guards said to the kids, "The President of the United States would like to swing the bat." And they said, "Okay." And out walked, assisted, a very old Ronald Reagan. And they gave him the bat, and he just kept swinging it. And they were throwing the ball, and he was just swinging it. And Susan Powder asked her son, what kind of mental state was Ronald Reagan in? And the kid said, like he was dead, but he didn't know it. So, and that was like, what, 10 years or more after he had left office. So, yes, he could live a long time with intervention, just as Ronald Reagan, may he rest in peace, lived a long life after his diagnosis. But that doesn't mean a person should be sitting in the White House just with their hand, on the button, the theoretical button. It's not really a button, but you get my point. And so it brings us to the conversation. How close is his cabinet? They've got all the evidence. He keeps having to take cognitive exams. Clearly, there's a reason. It's because when you get to a certain age that we have to do cognitive exams. That's all. But the fact that they're doing them so frequently, the fact that he's having all this imagery, is what I think really concerns a lot of people.